can do the introduction. You can do the welcome to season 4 if you want. I don't know really what I'm going to say.
Welcome to season 4.
There we go.
There has been a summer break. If you didn't know, if you're listening to this and you didn't know there has been a summer break, why on earth are you listening to this?
I can't top that. This is how it's going to go this season. Welcome. We've got viewers, we've got listeners from last time I checked, it was over 50 countries. So at the end of season 3, we had over 50 different countries listening to the International Classroom podcast. And there's going to be some new things for season 4, actually. And one of the things is the shift from International Classroom as a standalone YouTube and everything else. It's going to fall under what we now call the Deep Education Network. So the idea was to bring the podcast with all of the other conference parts, the other courses and workshops, bring it in. But we'll still call this the International Classroom because it does what it does on the tin. What's the Ron Seal saying? It does what it says on the tin.
It does what it says on the tin.
There we go. And for those people who are in the 49 other countries that have not heard of Ron Seal, it's just a marketing slogan.
But you ever need to paint a fence?
Yes.
That's the one.
Can you get Ron Seal here?
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll find out and come back to that. So you may notice that we have a third person joining us today. So hopefully you know who I am. My name's Alex Gray. We have Drew Owen here as well. And joining us today, Mr. Bodruz Jamir. Welcome to the International Classroom, Bodruz.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Without stealing your thunder away, introduce yourself to our listeners. Who are you? Where'd you come from?
Oh, well, I think being international now, when you ask where you're from, it's a tricky one. But I had the pleasure of growing up in London and working as a teacher in London before making my way out to the UAE 14 years ago, would you believe? So half the time was in Abu Dhabi. And this is now, I'm in my 8th year in Dubai. So, yeah, worked in British curriculum and IB schools, and currently just started at an IB school this year. And I've got 2 little ones, so always provides a little interesting perspective, I feel, when you've got 2 young ones starting off just in pre-KG and KG2. So it's going to be an interesting year for me as an educator and as a parent.
Oh, I can relate to a little bit. I thought I sounded a bit like Cilla Black then, like Blind Date. Oh, contestant number 1.
I know.
Tell us your name, where you're from.
What's your name and where'd you come from?
Love. All right, love.
All right, Chuck.
So what's the context for this then, Drew? How do we all know each other?
So we worked together in a school a few years ago now. It's been a very long time since we all worked together, I think. 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
We worked in the same international British school for one of the larger educational corporations out here, should we say? Corporation? I think it is a corporation company.
Yeah.
With multiple schools across the region. And we actually worked together through COVID. And if you remember, I know we've definitely spoken about something similar along the lines of this before, but room 110 was the staff room got closed when COVID kind of entered the world, and they closed the staff room. So we just basically made a staff room in a science room. And that was room 110 in the building. And everyone just went to this room and just, instead of going to the staff room to make coffee, we just went to the room that had the big prep room next to it that had a kettle in it anyway.
Yeah.
And for some reason, COVID knew that this was a classroom and not the staff room, so it never came in. So it goes wandering through the corridors, banging on all the doors, going, nope, this is a classroom, can't go in that one. Staff room, though, here I am. And I think during those years, we formed like a unit.
Yeah.
A troop.
Yeah. And we've stayed in touch ever since. Yeah. And we all still live in Dubai. We all still work in Dubai. We all are growing up, and our children are growing up, or your children are growing up anyway. And I feel like that has created a wonderful bond between 3 people. Mm-hmm. And there's more.
Yeah, there is more. It's like a secret. It's like a secret society. a little bit. There are some individuals on that group that we're a very tight knit group. There are some individuals on that group that I think would be hilarious to have on here talking. But
what are you saying? We just got to make do with Bodruz.
Network.
I think Bodruz is like the top of the tree, top of the pyramid, as it were, in terms of people to have on. But I'm just thinking of one.
Expectations set really high there.
Yeah, you are. We're wondering where you've gone, Alex. If no one can hear Alex right now, Alex has spent the first 31 minutes of this podcast trying to organize his microphone. You wouldn't think he ran one of the largest listened to podcasts on education in Dubai, would you? He does this on a regular basis. He's the only one who can't get his microphone working.
It's still.
Oh, you poor devil.
No, I'm back.
Sometimes
you're not wrong.
Me on the legs.
Yeah. You're not wrong though, Drew. It's now. I've spent 25 minutes trying to figure this out. I've had to restart my computer, and I'm supposed to be the one who knows how to use the tech. Touch wood, fingers crossed, it will run a little bit smoother. No, I realised that probably didn't come across as how I meant it to be, or come out at all. It was just simply the case of. I want to change the setup a little bit of the podcast this year and have more and do more things with you guys and talk about things that are going on locally in Dubai. And I don't know, it's been fun, but I think more fun. I don't know.
It's been.
What am I getting at? What am I trying to say?
I feel you've had some fantastic guests on who have spoken very, very, really, really well, very highbrow stuff, loads of cool listening. And I've enjoyed it, so I don't know why you want to change things. Really, you want this idiot back on?
Yeah,
well, it's
idiot and a friend.
Even though our connection was sort of in the same spot, we've all come from different places, and we moved on to so many different places. And it's always interesting when we meet up and the things that we share about our experiences in school. Right, that's the thing I find fascinating. And is he gone again?
You can carry on talking. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I find that is always interesting because we catch up and we don't really talk shop, but we do. It doesn't feel that way. We just kind of check in on each other, like, oh, how was your first week, or what's happening in your school, and we always hear things that come out about things that are happening in school or in Dubai, but it kind of lands on each of us slightly differently. And that could be because of, like you mentioned, the corporation you work for, could be because of the principal you've got, and each school has kind of a different focus, ethos. So we see that, we feel that. I find that that's always really interesting. It helps provide perspective. I find that always really interesting whenever we kind of connect.
Picking up on what you just said there. I really like the way that we are from different places. And if you think about it, we couldn't be from any more different places across the UK. So Alex is obviously from the Midlands. I'm from the North. You're from the South. So we kind of cover a big perspective, big area there. But one thing, we are all pretty city boys.
Yes, there's a thread of that, right? I suppose there is.
See, I'm saying this because I know Alex can't jump in to say, I'm not from the city. You are. You're a city boy. Don't worry. He wants to be a country bumpkin.
He can't protest. Alex is the biggest city boy. He's he likes to be waited on.
Yep. Say nothing if you agree, Alex.
We take your silence as agree.
Nothing you can do.
Right, I'm defending myself now. I am from a village. I have village life. Village life.
Village.
I'm the Owen. I was about to say something, and what I was going to. Little Britain. Little Britain, if you've watched any of that. Right, this is a serious educational podcast, you two. I'll have you know. It's not really.
We know.
Yeah, what an introduction, though. Just what? Well, I can't think of a better way to introduce the fourth season and to introduce you to as well. But there are some things I want to talk about. You did mention summer. This is our first episode back after what is induction week. So we're going to dive into those things. But first and foremost, gents, let's just address that. Bodruz, I'm going to ask you first as our newest member, newest inductee into the classroom, the international classroom. How was your summer?
Summer has been interesting. I think the first couple of weeks actually were wonderful. We escaped to Cyprus. My wife's grandmother lives there, and because my kids are so Lucius is only. At that time, he was still 4, Ophelia's 3, so very young. And it's not too far to fly, a familiar location. And that was really great. We can get outdoors, a little bit cooler, about 10, 15 degrees cooler. So that was really lovely. But then obviously we get back. As you know, I was changing jobs. And there's so much involved in the background. I think any new joiners in the UAE will know is all the drama of the paperwork, and schools are great. They can be really helpful, but it's just a process that you have to go through. But the rest of the 4 or 5 weeks, I suppose, or 4 weeks, because I joined the new school early. It was just me and the kids in Dubai in the heat, and obviously because my wife is not a teacher, we tend to spend a bit more time in Dubai over the summer. That was challenging, so I had to think of creative things to do. So any of the parents out there who are like, what's it like teacher life? It's not. We're not always traveling. We're not always flying around. We're really not. So actually, when the new year started, there was maybe a week ago. I was excited. I was excited to get back into school.
Was that just because you were excited to get away from the kids?
It was. I was excited to put them into the school creche. Yeah.
Oh yes, know that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had I was going to say, where were you?
We actually spent a long time here as well. So to kind of second exactly what Bodruz was saying there, no, you don't have to travel. Like, I think the UAE and Dubai in particular is one of the greatest places in the world. That's why I live here. You get 360 days a year of pure sunshiny bliss. If you've got AC, you don't have to worry about the heat too much. Obviously, if you're an outdoorsy person, for me, I'm a gamer, so I can sit on the computer for like 2 weeks solid. It was great.
People are going to think your math's slightly off, but there's 365 days in a year. So you're saying the other 5 days are just grey rain?
We get a little bit of rain, don't we? We get a little bit of rain.
There you go.
That's why
desert rain.
I knew what I was doing.
And I knew what you were doing, but some people might listen to you and think that northerner, he's just...
Northern monkey has no idea how many days are in a year. It's true, because sometimes it's 366 days. It depends if we're in a leap year or not.
There we go. When he sounds smart, he gets a little bit better spoken. So lovely, some holidays. We're all back into this now, back into the swing of things, because we've just finished induction week. We are filming this at the end of the induction week, and school starts tomorrow. How was induction week for you? Obviously, Bodruz, you're at a new school.
Yeah.
How has that been for you?
I have to say, one of the things I really appreciated. So usually, as you know, when you join a new school, so it's standard, right? Teachers always get back a week before the students. But if you're a new joiner, you come back 1 week even earlier. So it should have been a full week of new staff, 1 week of just the old staff, and the students. Actually, what I appreciated is my new school, they brought us in for 1 day. Because a lot of the times when you join a new school, they bring you in for that week early, but then they're rushing you around doing your visas and doing all of those things. And I think the school tried to do as much of that in the background as they could. So they only brought us in when they had something for us to do. So I think you know where I'm going with this. It's all about purpose, right? It's the biggest thing that we always talk about. Like, was it useful? And that first week, the induction week, I think for the first time in a long time, I have to say, it felt really well planned out. But from an organizational point of view, it looked really tricky. And I think that's the challenge. They had to organize where the junior staff, the primary, senior staff, new staff, where sometimes we were all in sessions together and other times we were split apart in different areas. It was, I have to say everything that we did was something that we would have to act on and implement. And there was also time, get your classroom displays, and get yourself ready with your lessons. So it felt like they managed it well in a week to get all of that done. I think that's a tall order, but so far I'm enjoying the process. Good. Drew, obviously you're still at the same school. Anything different about induction week for you guys this year?
I think more for a personal note, I've changed my role in the school to be no longer on the teaching and learning team at the school, which has been wonderful for my own, mental capacity. That's not the word, is it? Not mental well-being, because it's not for my mental. It's not like my well-being was affected by being a senior leader in the school.
Probably load.
Yeah. So it's been. I've gone in. I've not planned any of the. I planned one little session that was for BTEC stuff. That is still part of my role. It's where my. It's really where my passion lies. Is for the students that maybe can't access A-levels or can't access GCSEs, and so giving the vocational side of things is what I'm really passionate about. It always has been. I think that always will be, and I think I realised that during my few years of senior leader across the school, is that actually is not really for me in the immediate anyway. So for my own kind of mental stimulation, I could do the things that I really love, and that was lesson planning and organising trips and things like that, and just I could really focus on what my year was going to look like.
Did you just say you love lesson planning?
No, I heard that.
The best thing.
Oh my God.
Do you know when you've got a computer that actually works and you're not spending ages trying to load PowerPoint and taking ages for, when you're actually able to do things smoothly, and if you enjoy what you do, like we're looking at geography stuff. New eruptions of volcanoes, so I'm going researching, but because all the pages are loading faster, it's actually super quick. I can drag images across and just make nerd stuff,
Nerd stuff. You and probably 10 other people listening. Not that that's the number, by the way. It's just like the small, 1%ers.
But that's the thing that I enjoy. Now, I don't have a classroom this year, so Bodruz was talking about his, we've got time to go and decorate the classroom. Everyone else was. So I was kind of like, what can I do with the rest of my day now? So it meant I left on time. I could get to the gym. I was turning up to school in the morning and able to just kind of prep my day, plan my stuff. We're really I've been planning about how I'm going to tackle my marking load this year and make sure that I've got myself a little timetable going within my timetable. So it's I'll mark my year 9s at this point. I'll mark my A-levels at this point this week. I'll do just to make sure that if everything's in my timetable and planned in already, little things happen. We might get taken for cover. We've discussed this before, that cover is usually internal. You don't really get cover teachers to come in and cover. But if that plan is there, and I think one of my major goals this year was making sure I had a clear focus of what my year was going to look like and what my week to week was going to look like. So if I'm able to kind of get that in place, and I feel like I've had the time to do that as long as I could self-manage.
Yeah. I think that also raises an interesting point about perception of senior leaders. Because I always used to think middle leaders have the hardest job because you're managing a whole faculty generally, and you've still got a full timetable near enough. Yeah. Whereas actually what you're seeing when you go into senior leadership, if you're at like an assistant level, like your timetable reduces maybe slightly, and it depends on the school you're at. I get that. But the reduction in teaching time, the reduction in these things, especially if you're a newish school, like for you and us, like for where we're both at as well, it's a really difficult job to then fulfill leading and driving projects and visions at the top end of a school whilst also maintaining the teaching, the planning, the marking, parents' evenings, all those different things. It's like we talk about load. It's a job that comes with a huge load, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
there would be evenings where I was coming home, and the last thing I did was plan my lessons for the next day. That was the last thing I ever got to, because that was kind of the dessert. That was the reward for getting all my paperwork done, getting all the spreadsheet analysis, whatever it might have been. Once that was done, I could then, treat myself. I plan my lessons. And I think that's why I've enjoyed this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I think for those people who are aspiring to it and kind of just think, I want to get to this position, it's like, well, actually there's more to it than meets the eyes. And there's a lot more that goes on with that. Most definitely.
How was your induction week?
Ours was good.
We never asked you. We never asked you.
No, I never gassed. It's fine. I'm happy with that. I keep myself to myself. I'm quite that, I'm a private person, guys. I don't go around flaunting things.
He lied.
Yeah, I lied. Ours was good. So I was back in, so we've had induction week just gone. I was in Wednesday last week and the Thursday just going through our AS, so our year 12 results. We've had our first set of year 12s through. So just going through that, which was really, really good. Just organising then some meetings that needed to be had with kids and parents. Friday was a half day. So the new staff started Thursday, Friday. So it was like a half day Thursday and they get taken out for lunch, which is really nice. The school did that last year. So the SLT take the new starters out for lunch on the Thursday, and then Friday we had heads of year, SLT, middle leaders, that just so it's like a leadership meeting time, and that was good. And then the week got into it. It was good. They try to. I think it's always the reflection of what works and what doesn't work. And I'm going to come on to this next question soon, so I'm not going to too much into it. But it's that trying to how you get the blend of where do I need you to sit and listen versus where do we want you to then be in your classrooms and your teams doing things. Mm-hmm. So it's always the trying to get that blend right. And every year, you get a little bit better. I just, let's say my Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was swamped with GCSE results and data analysis and dealing with timetables, as in who could do what course, who's out the grades for certain things, where I need to meet with parents. So that was busy. That was mentally challenging at some points. But then I delivered one session. I only delivered one session on AI, which was good. Like just super hands-on workshop for people, which seemed to go down really well. Just trying to make people's lives, and with planning, when it comes to planning, just a little bit more. We talk about efficiency and things like that. So that was the aim with that. And yeah, Ava was in on Friday. So Ava's year 7, first day. So Ava got to go in. I know. She got her timetable.
What?
So she doesn't have me teaching her science. That was always the big debate. Do I get you? Will I not get you? And I gave her the choice. So just so you know, I said to her, look, you can choose. If you want me, it's fine. If you don't, just let me know. So, and then it was all just assigned randomly because they're streamed. But yeah.
Would she
I've got some of her friends.
Mr. Gray, or would she say Dad?
She should, and this is she should call me, and she probably will do because her friends will. But at some point, she'll just slip up. Like it's going to be. But
she still calls me Mr. Owen, and this is 6 years, and I never even taught her.
Just super well mannered. Great children. Yeah, so that was her. She had her first day in there. I think it'll be Mr. Gray. And then she'll be like, she'll see me in the corridor. She'll be like, hey, Dad. Mr. Gray, as it were. She'll just get used to it. But no, it kind of, I wanted to ask you this. So I don't know if you probably are. You're on the same sort of Facebook groups, the Dubai Teachers Group. Mm-hmm. And Lisa Grace Wilson also posted this on LinkedIn this morning as well, and just took some of the screen grabs. And you can take the screen grabs from this now. So I'm just going to say this. These people are on there and their names are anonymous, 356, blah, blah, blah. And obviously because they want to, and rightly, I'm going to say rightly so, they want to hide those identities, because schools and school leaders will do scour social media and your name pops up, and you do need to be careful of what you say, especially with what is the cyber law here as well, about defamation laws, and so on. So we're not necessarily advocating for these things, but there was a post that came out at the end of the week. A lot of teachers unhappy with their induction week, unhappy with what was being done. They just felt they were being sat and talked at. Like, I don't know if Bodruz, you've seen these posts?
Yeah. I'd say it's quite common, right? To see posts like that about induction week and after school CPDs. You can often kind of get that bad press. But then it's like what you said, Alex. It's the striking the balance between, do you need me to do stuff, or am I sitting here, absorbing information? I think schools also, they have, for example, safeguarding. It's mandatory. Every school needs to do that. We're talking about Wadima's law. It's mandatory to do that session. And everybody then signs to say that, we did that. But then I suppose even I'm still, obviously, I'm sure we've all seen on socials with the old school I was at, they were doing a lot of interactive things. They seem to put in team building events. And I thought, that's important. That's really good. And I wonder if it's, looking at all of the sessions in the day, does anyone look and say how much of today is workshop or just sat down, or are people kind of building their sessions in isolation? Because they're probably back from the holidays. They've had a week to put this all together. Maybe they haven't sort of thought about that. I know my school, they have sent a survey out for us to give feedback. I think that's definitely the only thing I could think of is kind of like the balance of it. So if there's a session of an hour of just sitting and listening, which you have to do sometimes, then if you can, the next session you probably don't want to do that. You want to give a movement break. But it's so common, right? The feedback on these events.
Yeah. Well, I've got one here. So This is what it says. It said, spent this whole week going from meeting to meeting, talking about the same old thing, same slides, same updates, same messages of how to teach from those that don't teach, even the same recycled jokes. We even have PD after school on day one talking about performance management process. Couldn't make this nonsense up. Obviously, that's an anonymous one. Drew, obviously, you've been in this position, and we've spoken about this numerous times, about leading, teaching and learning and these things. Like, if you've seen this, what's your take on this? How do you go about that blend, like we say, for staff, in terms of things you've got to listen to versus we want to make this of value to you? Like, what's your approach?
My own person, first of all, I'm absolutely floored that people, and some of the comments I've seen, and, this might be relevant to people out there listening now, that there have been days where they have been sat in auditoriums listening. A full day. Now, come on. I know I have the attention span of a mosquito. And the nose is... that one got Bodruz. So
I'm not touching that
one. As a member of the community that has an attention need, shall we say, or an attention deficit, I have to think about how I would feel in that situation. And my entire take on how I've always delivered PD, hopefully no one will ever turn around and say one of my PDs was boring and me just talking at them. There has to be some kind of, I think of it exactly the same as I think of a lesson. You're planning a session. The only difference is, instead of pedagogy, it's andragogy. And I know you've had guest speakers on talking about andragogy and stimulating the mind in exactly the same way that you would stimulate the mind of a student. And I always think back to basically my PD style stems from when I was working in Topshop. And I was like a cashier in Topshop for years and years and years. And their training was the best training I've ever done. So you used to go to the Midland Hotel and you would just sit in the conference room in there. But everything that they did to try and get you on board for the vision. And I don't know if you ever, I know Topshop's gone now, it's dissolved. But when you used to go shopping in Topshop, the staff were all a bit quirky, a little bit, but everyone was having a good time. And the whole thing that they tried to do, everything was about customer service. Everything was about making the customer happy so they'll buy more or whatever it might be, or, making sure that people feel good when they come in. And essentially, I see teaching as a very similar thing to that. We are just delivering a customer service. We are delivering a service and we make it as enjoyable as possible for the students in the room. Now, I, as a leader of teaching and learning, and if there is, ways of supporting people to try and whether it is AI, okay, we've got this new technology that's entering classrooms and being used in all these fabulous ways. Actually, how can we make that fun? How can we make that interactive? I'm not just going to stand in front of the room and say, this is what ChatGPT is, and this is how you could use it, and this is da-da-da-da-da. No, you want, things going on. You might have different stations set up with Midjourney on one computer where you can have a little group having a go at that. You've got ChatGPT and a series of instructions or a kind of scenario. And I think of it in the vocational way, but I guess that comes from my own teaching background in how can I actually do and use the information that we've got and apply it to my classroom. It could be, there's one, my old leader of teaching and learning, great leader. She did this game with tennis balls, and it was like different elements of a vision on tennis balls, and the tennis balls were in one part of the school, and it was kind of a treasure hunt to try and get you to see different areas of the school, but also get on board with what our school vision is and build the vision. But it was just about having fun, and it was about trying to engage people to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. But if you're just sat in an auditorium for 9 hours of the day with a little break in the middle to be able to go and get some salad from the little salad bar that they put out, what kind of day is that?
Those were the images I saw posted as well. Social media, it was people sat in auditoriums and other things going on stage. It's like, wow, that's not selling it to me.
I think, one of the biggest, I suppose, most valid critiques, I would say, because, I suppose criticism, we're Brits. It's what we do. We complain. It's a social pastime. It's part of our heritage. But, if I say a critique, so there's a genuine, need to improve something. If we asked senior leadership, and I'm saying this because I've heard this from staff around me when they've sat through these. The rest of the year, teachers are going to be graded on the way they teach, and have they considered the learners? Drew, you spoke about learning needs. You spoke about ADHD, and that's within teachers, right? If those sessions that we've just gone through, if they were graded as a lesson, what grade would they get? Would any of those sessions be graded as outstanding? And as we know, over a minimum of 75% of students have to show that sort of a progress. Every child needs to be engaged. So how many people were nodding off in those auditoriums, right? And if there was one or two, because the same thing, if you've had an observation and if there's one or two children in there, and maybe you've got 25 kids in the room, and one or two were disengaged at certain points, your observer would immediately say, I'm sorry, you're not going to get an outstanding today because not everyone was engaged. So and I think that's a fair question. When I've read that and I've heard that and I've reflected on it, I thought, I suppose if we want to, from the senior leadership point of view, inspire teachers to spend the rest of the year thinking about this kind of quality teaching grading system, inclusivity with the varying needs of the people in front of us. And even like the basics of Kolb's learning cycle, you hear something, we do it together, and then I need to go do it by myself or independently to sort of take that knowledge to make it concrete. That first thing you do when you go into teacher college. So there's an interesting one. What do you think? What do you guys think of that, about applying the lesson plan? Criteria.
I'm a massive advocate for it, and obviously you guys have sat through some of my sessions, but I will say even the session I delivered on Thursday, I had SLT members in there who were prioritizing the emails or the work they had to do, and that's fair enough. And there was teachers in there, and you're walking around, because mine was very much hands-on, but they're still just doing WhatsApps or still off task. Mm-hmm. But it was to me, it's like, well, this is a Thursday. It's your choice. It's your choice of time in terms of what you want to use it for. But it's very much the same. Like if that was a lesson and there was those people off task, you'd have to bring them back in. Now you'd look at that and go, and I've sat in sessions where I'm like, actually, I'd prefer to be on my laptop right now because I've got stuff that I actually need to get done. That to me is important or urgent. But it's the same, isn't it? If you're going to deliver and take someone's time, and especially at the end of a day, if we're thinking about the year ahead and go, well, first of all, my cognitive load, I am done. I've spent a whole day teaching, and now you want me to sit in this. What value does it add to me? And if I'm just going to sit and listen, yeah, I think it would be interesting if you're going to deliver a session, if you are responsible for it, then you need training in how to deliver to adults, not to students, because we should all be able to do that as pedagogical practice. But like, what do you know about andragogy? What do you know about heutagogy? How do you engage staff so that it's like your talk time is limited versus their action time is increased? So yeah, I think that would be an interesting one if we start to see now training courses for leaders and teachers on how to deliver professional development, how to deliver conferences and learning to adults.
I've got to say though, my own experience of the first week back was wasn't very similar to the comments that people have said. We had a very limited time in sessions, really. A lot of it was, you know what you've got to do?
Yeah.
Go and start doing it. Go and get your classroom set up. Go and, we had obviously the principal gave the speech to drum up the passion at the beginning of the year. That was great. We did have a day of sessions. We actually had we had a guest speaker in for one day, which was, well received to some extent, and to some extent was a little too much talking, should we say? And there was a lot of that talking during that day, which I think it was also quite tricky for us because a lot of people, it was the same day that the GCSE results were out. So a lot of people were thinking about what was going, when the GCSE results are out, people are thinking about that rather than trying to take every ounce that they can out of the sessions that are on those days. So that's the only day we could get this guest speaker in, though, apparently. So it's balancing all those external factors, that whatever's going on in people's lives, or because you've also got to remember there might be those people in that first week who have rocked up off a flight on the Sunday evening or the Monday morning. So they're still a bit jet lagged, a bit tired. But that's the choice those individuals have made as well. So there's always going to be an element of balance between the personal, the professional, what's been planned, what's actually delivered, what is the whole situation. And you do have to take that into account. And I imagine some of the people who were making those comments, I'm not saying that their opinions are invalid or anything like that. That's how they felt at that time, and that's fair enough. But
I agree.
To anonymize it and just post it online to slag off schools just to create
well, here's the thing on that, and I've got 2 points I'll come back to. But on those posts, even an anonymous person said, we've had and named the external speaker. Okay,
Well, you know
we've
what
had
one of those schools is going to be, don't you?
and I went, yep, I know exactly what school that is because they posted that on LinkedIn and social media, and I saw said person speaking at that school. So, and I didn't comment on anything. I could have just went, oh, you work at Nord Anglia then, so like because that's what it was. Not that they were just made this comment about how good. I think they had Claire Gadsby in, and I know you've had Claire. I think at your school, haven't you, Drew?
Awesome. Yeah, Claire is a brilliant speaker to have in.
Yeah, and she's
a prime example. Sorry to cut you off, then
go for it.
But I get really excited when we talk about Claire because she's a prime example of one of those teachers or one of those inspirational speakers that comes in and really gets teachers wanting, doing things. And her PD for me was about reading in the classroom minority, and she just practiced loads of little games with us. Yeah. And she just did the things that she would do in the classroom with us, and it's kind of that's what people want. What can I take away? What's he doing?
I don't know.
Get my laptop plugged in. Battery's about to die. There we go.
Oh, it's his first time. We'll let him off. I mean, I can't talk, can I? I can't talk. That's fine. No, but she's one. I've heard a lot of real positive things, like Claire. And then she's been there. She's done some stuff for Arcadia previously. She's been there. But our school, like from it, just to go back, circling back to the point, I think one thing they did really well this year is they front-loaded the thinking. And when you look at, and I spend a lot of time doing this about researching like courses and conferences and where to load information versus when to give collaborative time. And I'm seeing more and more do it. I think they did it really well, and they front loaded like the morning part generally was like, look, this is the onboarding and you'll still have be active and doing. And the afternoon was like all team time, all near enough department time, which was really good. So, I think it's one of those things we will continue to discuss as the year goes on. But I just thought it was an interesting one to flag up about something that's obviously gone on in education within the UAE and Dubai recently, which brings me nicely on to the next part to discuss is the calendar. Obviously, over the summer holidays, there was the announcement on social media for the aligned Dubai calendar. I'm not sure, is it UAE related or is it Dubai related? Because we had it from KHDA. And it was an interesting one. And obviously lots of people then started talking about and posting about it because they'd launched it over the summer holidays. So no one's in school. Nothing had actually been officially sent to schools. And obviously then it was like this thing went out and it was a bit of an interesting one. So we'll talk about this first. How do you guys feel about, and this might be I don't know if we'll go down the rabbit hole here. The KHDA obviously released things more on Twitter, X, social media, gets picked up first, and then the schools seem to get it second.
Yeah.
What as someone who works in schools, and then as someone who's like a parent as well, where's the stance with this? Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think it kind of puts schools under a tricky situation?
We were talking about holidays, as you do, and after spending most of the summer here. We're thinking more about maybe taking some time in Christmas and we like to be here for Christmas. It's a beautiful time, but you start to make plans and as you know, being a teacher, yes, we get those breaks, but we pay the highest price point for flights, for hotels. So actually it's the most expensive time. You want to get a good deal, don't fly when teachers are flying. Don't go during the holidays. And so it's a big deal, right? How many people would have booked already or made those changes? So I think I could see that there's a real, it's a big, significant detail for people to know, because I'm sure many people would have booked flights for Christmas more than 6 months in advance, just, in the hope of trying to get a better rate. But we're, like you said, Alex, we're quite used to it out here. And I've got two sides to the way I look at the way the UAE does it. It's everything comes out first to the public, and then the schools find out later. Or maybe the schools find out, but as I understand it, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong here, but schools can't announce things to the public without those things being approved by KHDA. So they have to go via the official channel. And I suppose that's their way of making sure that everything is above board. But in a way, I'd rather know sooner. I would rather, so in a way, I'd rather know sooner. And if that means the government tells me, and also when I hear it from the KHDA, I know that that's a fact. I know that this is happening. There is no question about it. Yeah. And you just know that, right? If the public holiday is announced, it's happening. And you know that the school will eventually, once they go through their process, the circuit they have to go through, they will, provide that. And I think for school operators and managers and senior level, that's got to be difficult. That's got to be a challenge. But what's the opposite? If we do it in the UK style, they'll be discussing it for 3 years and probably never get around to it. And it's sort of like do you remember when we shifted from Sunday to when we shifted to the Monday to Friday? That happened in
4 days, I think it was, wasn't it?
It was a weekend, I remember that.
It was around. Actually, I think we had more time with the holiday than we did with that shift. But it's one of the struggles of the UA, but I think it's probably one of the strengths of the UA is that when they want to make a change, it happens. And those of us being along here enough, we realize you either you have to get with it and you just got to move and adapt with it, or fall to the sideline. But I don't know. What do you think, Drew? How do you feel about this, having this month in December?
So there's two kind of questions that I think I would like to answer along this. First of all, I think I get really frustrated when it comes out on social media first, personally, because I see it on social media, I get my hopes up, and then I'll read it somewhere else on a different website, and it's slightly different, or the dates are maybe just a little bit off from one place to another, or it might just be for ministry schools and not for the private sector, I will read one article and that will say one thing and another article will say something else, and basically I'm then just confused, and I can't really plan anything until my school finalizes it. And this is where my frustration comes in, because by that point people have already booked the flights and the prices have gone up. Mm-hmm. Yep, whereas if you book it straight away and you take the risk, but you're always then taking the gamble, you are risking, because if it isn't confirmed by your school, and actually this only applies to public schools and doesn't apply for private schools, and you've just booked a flight to Georgia for the weekend, and there's no chance you're going because your holidays fall differently or anything like that.
I'll give you, just to interject, prime example happened Thursday, might have been Friday, just gone. So it was an announcement, I think it might have been on a different social media platform, but there's no assessments in term 2. You know where I'm going with this one, don't you? Yeah. No assessments in term 2. And it's like, well, you have to really dive in because it's in public schools. And we're getting messages going, so there's, we're not having any assessments in. And I was like, what? Look at the notification, read between the lines, go, no, it's a public school. These are just for public schools. Yeah. It's like, what? And it's like, no, they're not. What about, we've got these exams. It's like, it's not for private schools. And so that's the confusion, isn't it? Like you were saying.
Yeah. And I guess that's not my frustration with the process as much as it is the frustration with the way or when those media outlets pick it up and start running with it. And I guess it's more my frustration with the age of misinformation and the way that one headline article, which would get screenshot and then sent over to you via WhatsApp, actually you've not got the whole article there, you've got to go and fish it out, you've got to read the article, blah, 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 blah. So I think that's more my frustration with that side of things. I would much rather just, when there's a change, school emails me and says, look, we've had this directive, this is happening, like it or lump it, it's happening, because that's how the world works. Like it or lump it anyway. It doesn't matter whether we've got these longer holidays, short holidays, whatever's going to happen, whatever we get directed to. If we find out that little bit later, but actually there's not this level of confusion, is it us, is it someone else, is it da-da-da-da-da, actually that would remove a little bit of stress for me. So, and then secondly, in terms of how I feel about my own personal feelings on the longer winter break. The winter break is now 4 weeks. For those people who don't know, is this correct, Alex? Is this the same for your school?
Well, the winter break is officially 4 weeks. However, so it's shifted to break up a week earlier. which means, I think, is it Friday the 5th?
To Monday the 5th, I think.
To Monday the 5th. However, we have in December, for those people listening or new, so the very beginning of December, there are always either 2 or 3 holiday days, depending on where it falls. So we have National Day, we have, is it Martyrs' Day and Commemoration Day?
Yeah.
It's those ones. So if you look at your school calendar, and I think mine's this, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off already. How many people are going to come back Thursday, half day, Friday? Just me and my kids, teachers' kids. Mm-hmm. So in theory, that 4-week holiday, which it officially is, becomes a 5-week holiday if you travel.
That.
Yeah. See, we on ours. Sorry.
Go on.
On ours, what they've done is they've made that Thursday, Friday parent-teacher conferences. So it's the Tuesday, Wednesday public holiday. The Thursday, Friday would be the parent-teacher conferences. But I'm curious, again, will this have a positive impact on attendance? Because how many of us have seen families, decide to fly out from that public holiday period? And like you say, Alex, not stick around for the Thursday, Friday, and just have that extended break anyway. So
every year.
So
it's every year.
And that happens regardless of that 4-week holiday or 3-week holiday in the winter break anyway. Parents often take their children away for Martyrs' Day, Commemoration Day, Union Day, National Day, for that time period, and then don't come back because the flights are so much cheaper. Why? If I was in that position, I would probably do the same. Now, the kind of second part to that is we have, but essentially that then becomes a summer holiday at the best time of the year when the children can be out, but we have a certain number of days that we have to deliver in a school. So it's 182 days. Now, the original proposal that was shared online actually only allowed for 177 days of the school year, which was quite funny. So when a large number of media outlets shared the dates that there were, that threw up red flags straight away. I was like, well, it doesn't give us enough days in the year, so that's going to have to change anyway for what we mandatory, the mandatory delivery dates. It also brings around kind of irritations, because what that means is we lose those mini breaks between. Now, originally, the idea was that you would have the October half term, then the winter break, February half term, spring break. Then you have, you might have time off for Eid or half days this year for Ramadan, which would have kind of eased the pressure on the summer term. The summer term is hard enough as it is because the students can't go outside because it is too hot. But we now have the situation where there are more days in the summer, so more days where students are in school at the hotter temperatures, in order to have more days off in the winter time, which is actually the best time to be in Dubai and the best time to have students in school, because they're actually not drained from the heat. They're alert, they're awake, they've had good sleep. It's the weather's cooler, they can get out, they can be active, bodies are healthier, therefore minds are healthier. So I don't disagree with it, because it's wonderful to have 4 weeks off. Look at me, I'm a teacher complaining that we got 4 weeks off for the winter break. Oh no. But actually, when it comes to the big picture kind of thing, it does create some difficulties.
I know you're going to, but it also creates an interesting dichotomy when it comes to finances. Because if you think about where we're talking about Christmas, this winter break, like the December to beginning of January, best time to be in Dubai. Am I going to travel out of Dubai? No. It's the best time to be here. I'd say, come on over, everyone. So financially, it's a great time, and as the government said, look, we're going to tie this into the economy of things, so it's aligned. So you've not got parents at one school with kids at another school and having half terms at different times. It's all aligned, because again, there's a financial benefit, I think, to them having this longer period of time off during that what we call the winter break or Christmas holiday versus the summer holiday. And we're always going to have this discussion about the length of the summer holiday. And just the Middle Eastern culture, summer holidays have always been 2 months, because of the heat. But no one stays in Dubai. I know you guys did a little bit, but the reality, yeah, it is. I described it as being like a university town. So obviously being at Loughborough, students, semester time, everyone's there. But once the term is finished, everyone goes and it becomes a ghost town. So financially, this is why we see all the best offers from hotels, because you're trying to get people in. But from a financial perspective, they must lose, I think, probably a lot of money, because everyone, teachers, families that can, just leave the country and not spending on brunches or supermarkets or petrol or all these things when it's made. So I think there's also that side of it. It's the cynic of me. I can't help it, but I also see that side of it a little bit, whereas by giving these longer periods of time. But I kind of like what you said, Drew. I'd never really thought about it that way in terms of the student well-being. I think that's a really, really good point.
Thanks.
So, it doesn't matter. It's a compliment. A compliment. Throw these out there occasionally.
Did you notice, Drew, that it wasn't actually so much of a ghost town this summer? It was still, you could really feel how Dubai's grown. Roads are still, busy. You go along the Al Khail, it was as busy as it would normally be. Life carried on. It was even we did a couple of staycations while we were here, and it didn't feel like there was many vacancies at the hotel. So Dubai's obviously getting the marketing right, but people are still here, and you could really feel it. I felt it, yeah.
So I actually did go back to the UK just for a couple of weeks, just 2 weeks, see the family. My little sister's had a baby, so it was like meet the baby, do the christening thing, godfather over here. That's pretty cool. The godfather. But on my flight home, and my partner was the same, we actually took separate flights so we could look after the dog a little bit. So, because boarding prices out here have skyrocketed. That's whole other story. But so on my partner's flight and on my flight, we both met people who were actually heading out to Dubai for holidays, like large families. So there were holiday makers coming out in like late July. I was chatting to this guy who's in front of me with his family, guy from Liverpool. Nice guy. I was like, why on earth are you coming? Now it's 51 degrees. Yeah. What are you going to do? He's like, you got cooled pools, haven't you? You got pools that have got like cool water. So, well, yeah, but you've also got shoulders that are going to set on fire. So you're going to spend the whole time out in the sun, are you, mate?
We've got same. We've got friends who are over here at the moment who've done exactly the same, and they've done it for the last few years. They've just come out and they've stayed in Dubai, they've stayed in Raq, they're staying in Fujairah, but it must be that the prices you can get for flying out. Hey ho, it's a good place to be. To wrap this up then, gents, because obviously for the fifth intonation of this recording, just go back to that if you're joining us, the technical issues. Wrapping this one up, one of the things I've been talking about and I'm thinking about moving forward with this is about origin stories. I posted something this morning on LinkedIn about it as well, because Ava has been busy asking me about teachers, about work, about subjects and all these things. And she asked me how I got into teaching. And I got to interview, there's a guy, Ben Edmonds, who posted this to me, and when we were conversations a couple of months ago, and he mentioned about origin stories. So to wrap this first episode up, I'm interested in your origin stories. So Bodruz, I want to start with you in terms of your origin story. Now you can, be a little bit dramatic about this if you wish. You could make this all, a bit superhero-esque, because that's what I imagine Drew's going to do. I am curious about your origin story into education. He's frozen.
Has he frozen? Or is he just really not want to answer that question?
He's what's him called? From Dave Bautista from Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm standing so still. I'm almost invisible. He'll come back. Drew, you give us yours then.
When he gets the chips.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, yeah. He'll be back. Give us yours then. What's yours? Okay. Yeah, he obviously didn't want to tell his origin story, did he? There we go.
To be honest, I completely stumbled into it. blind. I had no idea what I was doing. I actually, I suppose, because a little nugget from this week I got told was primary school teachers love the kids, secondary school teachers love the subject, and consultants love themselves. This is one of our guest speakers said this, and I thought it was pretty funny, pretty apt at the time. And I thought to myself, like, you know, do I love the subject? But I think it's more that I've grown to love my subject as opposed to actually having that intrinsic love for it from the off, because originally I was going to do religious studies at uni. And my applications on UCAS he's back.
He's back. He's back.
Here he is. So my application was filled with RE or mythology studies at various universities across the UK. And then when my results came in, not because they were like really bad or anything, I opened my results on results day and kind of went, don't really want to do that anymore. Don't know what I want to do. So I rang up clearing. And for those listening in the 49 countries outside of the UK that don't know what clearing is, it's basically if you do rubbish on your results, so you don't want to do your course anymore, you just ring up and basically tell them your results, and they'll tell you what courses are out there that you could apply for. And that's what it was back in the day. So I rang up, and I remember being in my school hall, my auditorium, with my A-level results in my hand, rang the woman up, said, these are subjects I got. And she said, oh, well, we've got this wonderful course in Salford Uni, if you want to go there. And I was like, yeah, it's only around the corner, why not? What is it again? She said, oh, it's geography. I was like, yeah, go on, I've got an A-level in geography. I might as well do that. I'll probably get to go on a few trips and stuff. And I kind of, 18-year-old Drew just went, yep, let's go with the flow. And it was the first one she said on the phone. I imagine she had a list of other things, but it was the first one. And I was like, yeah, sounds all right, I'll just do that. So I did it. I went, and then I finished the course. And I was like, right, what do I do now? And I think because the careers programs that were available to us when we were younger were nowhere near as robust, nowhere near as diverse as what they are now. There's so many jobs out there that I am now aware of that I could have gone into, that actually I was like, well, I finished my degree. I've got a geography degree. What can I do? I'd be a geography teacher. And then applied to the University of Edgehill. Because, again, it was close, and it was the first one that when I typed into Google, teaching geography, it's the first one that came up. So I was like, yep, click. Went on to do it, and here I am, years later. The most un-geography-looking geography teacher, I think.
Yeah, there's not a lot of tweed in your wardrobe, is there?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Emily's she's just whittled it out. What about you then, Bodruz? What's your origin story into education?
Well, I mean, as you both know, I grew up in South London, and those of you who are familiar with Brixton, lovely, lovely place now. And in those days, it was had some challenges. Very quite, I'd say, quite economically deprived area at that time. And the school I went to, the pass rate. So I did quite well in my GCSEs, but here's the real shocking statistic of my school: the pass rate when I finished high school was 3%.
And when you say pass rate, to give some context, that would be A star to C.
Yeah, so it would be you'd need a minimum of 5 C grades, and obviously. Two of those would have to be in English and maths in order to be measured as like the 5 A to C pass rate. So only 3% of students managed to achieve 5 C grades, including English and maths. And so there was this. I wanted to celebrate because I was leaving. Obviously, this. If you're familiar with the UK system, if you go to the public school system, you are. You're attached to a school based on where you live. So, economics has a big part to do with this, because if you're in a maybe more economically deprived area, then just the people who you're going to be going to school with are going to share in that sort of circumstance as well. And, we had dedicated teachers, like many schools in the UK, the facilities were dated, but, it could be worse. But I was so excited to leave school and go into college. And I went from, I think there was a TV show about my school as one of the worst schools in Britain. And then I got into, for college, one of the best schools in the city for sixth form. But my head was spinning because I couldn't celebrate what I had done without acknowledging 97% had failed to achieve that pass rate. And it just burned me about the failed opportunities. That's what it was. Because for me, I knew those people. They weren't a statistic. And I knew that they were capable. They could be members of society, contributing. And it just, and then I also know the other side of it where, when we talk about criminality and you've got such a large proportion, I think education is the absolute antidote to that. While I was in college, I had a real sort of head moment of what can I do that's going to put a lot of money in my pocket, but what can I do that I'm going to be happy with, that I think is a problem. There's so many problems in the world, but this is one I understood. This is one that I had a real deep personal connection to. And it's almost like for every year that I'm in education, it's like doing it for those 97% of students who didn't come along with me. When we're out in the UAE, there's so many challenges. It's not just to do with economics, and that's something I learned here. You've got, just because people have money does not mean that they have support. A teacher who's going to back them. And I can't say that I'm the best teacher. There's so many colleagues who are like really talented, but I think passionate and committed. Yeah, 100%. So I think that's been my drive. And so when I see a student kind of, that value added that we used to do in UK, and they kind of get above their target, go way above their target, I get so excited about that, because again, it's that whole realizing that potential. So yeah, I still, even after all these years, I still get such a buzz out of it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing, guys. I appreciate that. Very, very nice. And that's it. What an episode. What a first episode. I appreciate it. Thank you, gents, for coming on and sharing and discussing. It is one of those things that I'm hopeful we'll be able to do more of every couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And just come on and talk about different things that happen in education, how school life's going, and just use it as an opportunity to catch up and just have some fun discussions as well. So, yeah, big thank you to Bodruz Drew coming on and chatting and sharing their ideas about education and all these things. How are you feeling about tomorrow?
Bring it on! Bring it on! I can't wait.
I just think everyone's anxious. Staff, teacher, students, everyone's got the little nerves, right? The little butterflies.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's all, we're in the same boat as you, Alex, there with your sixth form. So we've got our first year of year 13 now. We had our first set of A-level results a couple of weeks ago. And I'm just so excited to get back into proper teaching again. And, I'm not looking forward to the amount of steps I'm going to be doing, though. I do not have a classroom next year, so I'll be teaching in I got a few places.
I'm not looking forward to all the walking, but I definitely need to do some more. I had every aspiration of going home in the summer and training and eating well and limiting what I drink. And I did that. I felt like I did that, but maybe I trained too hard. That's what I'm going to go with, because I came back 5 kilograms heavier. So I came back pushing 110 kilograms from 5 weeks in the UK. I don't mind. I'm quite happy to share this. I now have to take a 48 jacket and a 40-inch trouser.
I'm saying, because because I know you were training hard though before you left. So I'm thinking if you've piled that on in muscle, my friend.
It's a combination. I'm 41. I'm 41. There's a little bit of muscle that comes with that. There's a lot of probably water retention and other things. But managed to lose a little bit. Managed to lose a bit. So the steps. I'm looking forward to the steps and stuff because
not after a leg day though.
Not after leg day.
Not after
I never
leg
just
day.
do leg. I'm a combination day. I do every body part once on a day, 4 times a week. So it's the same thing. Hey ho. Bodruz can tell us more about his gym next time. We've got some exciting stories about gym life, haven't we?
Yeah.
His middle name.
Bodruz the Beast Jamir.
It's coming. It's coming. 2027.
BBJ. What a guy.
What
And
a
on
guy.
that bombshell.
Whew, that's a prime time finish slot there. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Have a fantastic start to the week, and we'll speak soon.
Oh, yeah.
See you soon.
We got a little catch up soon.